when sort of touching upon the subject. So I think that might be also worth sort of tuning in for, because I believe that thanks to Karasu Kafka, we must always give credit when credit is due, we have stumbled upon a topic that is top tier topic, okay? Top tier quality topic. Destiny and Tate debate. If it's a nothing burger, then we'll sort of abandon it, but you know, it might be interesting. The whole thing might be interesting. It might not be interesting, but you know what? It just might be interesting. So I believe this was gonna be pretty cool. Right? Right. Excellent. So, what is this? Oh. I found it. Destiny debates Andrew Tate. Is this new? 1 year ago. We're looking for the new one. Oh, this is Destiny debates Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes. So this is it. This is from 1 day ago. Destiny debates Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, American Nico. How exciting. Let's jump right in. You're gonna see my thoughts. Hear my thoughts. You cannot see my thoughts, but you can hear them. Okay. Can you actually see the video? Have I actually switched? No, I have not. You would have been looking at my face. I mean, admittedly, it's a pretty cute face, but, you know, you probably want to see this. You probably want to see this thing. Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'm mentally prepared for the onslaught that this debate on whatever topic it is that they're going to debate is.
Didn't Tucker get fired for having an opinion?
Oh, if the audio is too loud or too quiet, please tell me and I will adjust. I will go above and beyond just for you, specifically for you.
Went outside of the narrative of Fox News.
No, Tucker got fired because he almost cost Fox News $1 billion for lying.
Oh no! Defending Tucker Carlson, the biggest liar, especially since he spent, as I remember, a lot of time lying about Ukraine, which is probably why he got that interview with Putin and praised those shopping carts that you put a coin in. You know, one of those most common things in Europe that I've been using ever since I was a child. But that's neither here nor there, right? That's not important. Oh gosh, what a start defending Tucker Carlson and his journalist integrity.
On air. It's funny that you defend the fact that he had an original opinion. What you're actually defending is misinformation and lies, which is
true. I mean, to be fair, misinformation and lies can technically be original opinions. It's just that those original opinions happen to be lies and misinformation. But they're sure original. If you like originality, maybe that's what you crave.
Supposed to be something you guys are against, I thought.
Which opinion was this? That's not what I heard. Tell me, please educate me, Destiny.
Andrew Tate. Oh gosh, what timeline have I stumbled onto? Isn't he supposed to be in jail or something? Is he debating Destiny from jail? What happened? What happened?
The Fox News, the Dominion lawsuit. There were texts that were leaked from him where he admitted that he was lying on air about claims that Sidney Powell had made to him, and he was tired of lying to his audience about things about the Dominion voting machines being rigged.
Oh no! It's a 2020 thing. Oh gosh. Wow, this is gonna be a doozy. It's gonna be. I wonder if they're gonna be talking about Ukraine. They have to be talking about Ukraine because lying about Ukraine was a big part of Tucker Carlson platform. It still is. We'll see. Debate those cell bars, Tate. I mean, isn't he supposed to be in jail or something? I've not been following the Andrew Tate thing, but I know that he's supposed to be at least on trial. No? He's being apprehended by the Romanian police when he tried to flee or something. It's not an open and shut case like everyone thought. Really? That is interesting. But he has been apprehended, so like, is he free now? Is he out of jail? Why did he try to flee if it is not a open and shut case? Oh, whatever. It's like, it's all a big ball of confusion for me.
Rigged.
Well, I don't know if that's a lie at all.
You don't know anything.
Destiny, I want to
You don't know anything.
understand your worldview.
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From
Listen, you might actually be rooting for my husband in this one because I'm not sure if I feel like rooting for Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes, or Sneeko. I'm not sure if I want to root for any one of these individuals. I might have to default to rooting for my husband. This might just, this debate, depending on how it goes, it might just save our marriage. It might stall our divorce. I might not file the papers if he does well in this one. Apparently he's going to court. Interesting. The woman trafficker, Andrew Tate.
founding fathers, the framers, the law.
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that if you know anything. But
Okay,
you get
so
all
then
your
why the
information from media
in this
articles.
country? Why not go live in Rome or go live in the
Poland, the most Catholic country of all. Go live in Poland. No, don't go live in Poland. Don't go live in Poland. We don't claim you. We don't want you here. But it is a pretty Catholic country.
Catholic Vatican or go live in prehistoric wherever the in the United States and try to change us into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country is about.
He's appealing the legal logic of the charges.
Make the Muslims in the call answer. Suleiman, Sneeko, and Myron. Nick said he would never allow any Muslim in this country.
Aren't they supposed to be best buddies? Didn't they eat chicken, whatever, waffles or something together? Weren't they supposed to be eating waffles together? What happened to their friendship? What happened? What happened, Stephen? Can't you keep a friend? If you cannot keep a friend, then how can you hope to keep a wife? It is a topic what the US is not fundamentally about.
Country to hold public office. You're chill with that?
You chill with that.
But Destiny, I was going back.
What creative editing? What treat are we in for tonight?
Forth with Nick and Andrew on this is that where do you draw the line? Who decides where that line is? Destiny, good to have you. And I'm sure there's a lot of voices on stage that some you agree with, some you strongly disagree with. But where would you say that line should be drawn?
But wait,
exactly. Where should the line on what? Oh God, so many people, so many. Did this happen on X? Your kid, did this actually happen on X? Whatever. This is just silly.
I'm on Destiny's blacklist. He cannot speak to me because I'm on his blacklist.
Are we talking
okay.
about for are we talking about for like legal purposes? Or are we talking about for platform community guideline purposes? Or what do you mean?
Let's keep it more broad. Free speech purposes.
Well, I mean, for
where do you draw? Is it so Elon has drawn.
Can't talk. I'm
Okay,
on
so
Destiny's
Destiny
blacklist.
Is Nick on your black? Do you have a blacklist?
Destiny, have you broke? Yeah, have you?
He has to go. I'm
No,
on
no.
his black. He can't
Give us
stream with me.
Why would you ever do something like this on X? Is beyond me, but
an exception here, Destiny. If you
Can
could
we have
speak
the
to
exception?
Nick,
he could make the same argument against socialism. I mean,
if we can have the exception, Destiny.
he could, and he probably would, but
That'd be,
that's neither here nor there.
We'd be very grateful. But on a serious note, Destiny, where do you draw the line? Because Elon was asked that question. I think he was asked. We were doing a space on Brazil. When he was asked that question, he said a country's law, even though he might disagree with it, that's that's the line he cannot cross because he's running a business. Where do you think that line should be drawn, Destiny?
Well,
Because we've been having I just want to add one more. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Destiny.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like to say the line is drawn at the law. I mean, is the most boring answer ever. Obviously, and if you're a business owner,
The biggest, boringest answer ever, which, I mean, that depends on the law, but some laws are worth to be broken. And also, apparently, this is not even the debate. This is the pre-debate ramble, the warm-up before the actual debate, the setup. We call that hate crimes and harassment.
you kind of have to operate there. But that's not the only place you can operate, right? Business owners can also make suggestions to Congress. They can have their appearances. They can talk.
Lobbying. Make suggestions to Congress. Lobbying. Make suggestions with money.
Whoever they want to talk to, they can push culturally for the norms to change. In terms of like where it should be, I mean, I like the United States freedom of speech. I think that sometimes people speak about it in kind of an ignorant way. Like, for instance, when we talk about TikTok, it's kind of funny that people think it's unfathomable that a foreign adversary literally having connections to so many different American cell phones and having their thumb on social media, which we all know is incredibly like influential and important. The idea that that wouldn't be a thing we'd want to avoid as the United States, I think it's an easy to understand idea without needing to invoke
Interesting.
Any kind of weird.
I got raided, Moho. I'm not even gonna pretend I didn't. I got raided. You got me. You got me, Moho. I would not be able to get this many viewers on my own. You've crushed my self-esteem. Are you happy, Moho? Are you happy with yourself? Are you proud of yourself? That's right. I was raided.
Conspiratorial nonsense.
Yeah, Israel.
Cool. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the United States. I don't think we should have hate speech laws. I think you should be allowed to say more or less what you want to say in terms of like legal protections. And then obviously platforms can regulate speech as they want. But I think they should lean a little bit more on the freedom of speech side and just give people the opportunity or the tools to like block or mute people if they don't want to hear them.
So my next question,
Let's get to the debate without those randoms. Let's go.
My next question is, do you think Nick should be censored?
Thank you. I am actually growing like crazy. I've grown quite a lot.
What, from X or from Twitter?
Social media.
No, I think Nick's
those
pretty
are
harmless. Like if he wants to do his little thing, he can do what he wants.
Okay.
I just got something real quick I want to say with TikTok because I find it very interesting.
Why didn't you expect that from Destiny of all people? Of course he's gonna say that. What did you expect? Why were you so shocked? Yeah, of course Destiny's gonna say, oh yeah, he's doing his whole thing, whatever. Like, what did you expect from Destiny, my husband?
Real quick, I just want to say this with TikTok. There was a push to ban TikTok for years on a national security premise because, obviously a foreign adversary has created the app. But I find it very interesting that a bill didn't get passed to get TikTok banned until what? Oh, it was overwhelmingly pro-Palestine, about 70 to 30% versus being pro-Israel. But once it became pro-Palestine and people became extremely critical of Israel, guess what? Oh, we got to pass the bill and get rid of TikTok.
Ed, I know you were jumping in.
So what does the chat think? Do you think that the government wants to do away with TikTok because it's too pro-Palestine? Do you think that's a legitimate theory? Write your opinions in the chat. Be active participants of the stream. After all, a stream is not just me reacting to material. It is also me interacting with you, the viewers. And also, by the way, come to the site. Give me some love. Give me some love. What are those reactions? Like, I imagine a guy on this phone molding when Destiny's on the mic and convulsively tapping. Blah, 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 blah. That is a funny image to imagine, actually. That is a pretty funny image to have in your mind.
We were talking about Nick's ban. I know you were banned, I think it was 2021 or something, and then Elon actually let you back on, or X let you back on after Elon took over. And then
Andrew Tate?
I think it was the same day you were banned again.
There we go. Here, Andrew
Is
Tate.
there, like, do we know
I've
what?
spotted all of the debaters. Andrew Tate, Sneeko, and Nicholas.
what you were actually banned for? Because I know doing research, I know you had a post where you said who controls the mind, and it was all these Jewish people in the media. And then you also were in a space where you said, yes, we love Hitler, bitch. Like, do we know which of those got you banned?
Well, when I got unbanned, I was under the impression that the new principle was free speech.
Nicolas Fuentes. Oh, the waffle guy, the chicken waffle guy. Have no idea about the whole TikTok thing, but with Palestine support, yeah, more often than not, younger people use it, so.
So I didn't say anything illegal, and they didn't tell me what I was banned for, but I only posted like 3 things.
Sure, I wonder what Nicolas Fuentes could have been banned for. I wonder. What a mystery, what a mystery. We need the Scooby Gang on that one. Come on. You didn't know what you were banned for. Nick Fuentes did not know what you... Okay, whatever.
Things. I posted the red media. I said I did my Twitter space. And that's funny, you think, you said you love Hitler. I love everyone. I love you. I love Destiny. I love...
Yeah, okay, it's such a mystery how Nick Fuentes could have been banned from any form of social media.
Everybody.
But it's very different saying. But it's very yeah. It's 2 seconds. So guys, 2 seconds. So this is the slippery slope.
Listen, I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna go on a tangent. I'm gonna go on a whole tangent. Stop this whole debate. I'm gonna freeze this whole debate. I'm gonna go on a defense of American quote unquote food. Okay, America is a place of immigrants. Okay, it has people from communities from all over the world living in the US, which means that you can taste the greatest foods from all over the world in the US. Okay? So saying that American food is degenerate is not true, because the US is the melting pot of different cultures, and you can taste great food from talented chefs from all sides of the globe. Thank you. Rant over. We can now go back to the debate. If you want to challenge me on that, you can call in, debate me. I will debate you, and I will win for sure.
Hold on. Yeah, I've just... Okay. Yeah, I am speaking, so I'm not letting it go. But Nick, do you think so? First, a question, and we'll ask Elon that question on why you were banned, if you managed to drop by. But the question is, do you think that particular statement? So obviously you can't compare loving Destiny to loving Hitler for obvious reasons. But do you think that's the statement that got you banned, or do you think it was something else? Nick Fuentes.
I was banned for the freedom
and
of my
I hope you're not being banned right. I don't know if he's rugging or his account just got banned again. I'll be honest. It's funny.
Maybe he's making love to Hitler.
Go ahead, Destiny. Go ahead,
Can you let Destiny speak? Can you let Destiny say anything?
Destiny, yeah, go ahead, Destiny.
I wish that we had like better freedom of speech defenders.
Oh yeah, Nick Fuentes does love cat boys, but that's neither here nor there, is it?
Listen, it's the United States of America. If you want to say you love Hitler, if you want to be anti-Semitic, you should be like allowed to say those things. I don't like it when people get banned for being anti-Semitic and then they say they weren't anti-Semitic, but then they also defend freedom of speech, but they won't say those things. It's ironic because all the people that talk about the Jew stuff are like the people who are the most scared to own the things that they've actually said. Like, it's the United States of America. If you want to be anti-Semitic or anti-Jew, you have the right to say that publicly. Like, there's no law against like saying that publicly. Like, champion.
Hey, can I jump in now? My thing was glitching.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I want to answer this. Yeah, so you're right. You're right. We cannot compare loving Hitler to loving Destiny.
I mean, I guess that's true, but if you're gonna say such things, you also have to be prepared, even in the US, that you're gonna be, for most people, social poison, okay? You're gonna be socially poisonous for most regular people if you're gonna go out in the US and proclaim your love for Hitler, I'm afraid. But even if it's legal, it does not mean that it will be widely accepted, okay? Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there for you to contemplate.
The Destiny is far worse.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Man, look, let's try to last more than 24 hours today.
Come on, that's a good riff. No, you're right. Here's the thing. I think that in those cases, in those edge cases, yes, like we do have to permit people to say things that even everybody disagrees with. We have to permit people to say things that anybody would say, oh, of course you shouldn't be able to say that. That's where it matters. The limits of free speech, that's where it becomes tested. We don't have free speech so that people can say, I like Burger King instead of Wendy's. No, we have free speech so that people can say things that are outrageous and question fundamental assumptions, like about Hitler, like about certain political myths, or how our political system is founded. And so when Destiny says,
I mean, certain groups in the US sure seem to have an affinity towards Stalin, I'll say that much.
You don't own what you say. It's not about that. It's just about if you are able to discern the tone when someone is
talking. But it doesn't matter. Legality doesn't matter because each company can just make its own rules, its own sort of rules of service, etc. And it has nothing to do with legality because fundamentally a social media platform is a company that creates a space and that company dictates what sort of things are acceptable and non-acceptable in that space. So certain things might be legal. Discussing certain things might be a bannable offense on the social media, and that's perfectly fine because that is the freedom of speech of the company or whatever, since we're gonna go that route.
Talking or what the meaning is. You look at a lot of the things I say, a statement like that is
whatever.
Obviously said in a tongue-in-cheek. It's punchy, it's outrageous, it's intended to be. That's the obvious purpose. And all of a sudden when somebody who is like, and by the way, I should point out, while we're playing this game about, you said this, you said that, when I say something like I don't want to get banned, but when I say something like what I said a year ago that got me re-banned after I was reinstated, everybody looks at that and not rightly.
Cannot even go back, cannot even get back from without being banned right away, once again.
They rightly say it's outrageous, but there's a complete context denial. People hear that statement and they go, he said what?
Context.
Because I'm a right-wing guy and I have all these views and I'm like a canceled American. He's got to go. Hang on. I'm making an important point. When Destiny...
Oh no, I got banned on a social media platform. I'm a canceled American.
Says, I think that the Palestinians should be genocided. Ha ha ha. Nobody looks at that and says, oh, he should be canceled. What an outrageous thing to say. Some people do, but he's...
I mean, people did say that he should be... People did say that he should be banned and canceled. TOS moment. I mean, the video's up. The video is up for Destiny, so I don't think I'm gonna have some special problems.
On YouTube. He hangs out with Shapiro, Jordan Peterson. When I say something because I'm right-wing and it's outrageous, there's no charity. People pretend like they don't know what humor is. People pretend they don't know what rhetoric is. Humor. That's just who he is. He's an odious person. Get him out of here. And same goes for everyone here. Same thing happened to Tate. Similar things have happened to Elon. It's happened to Alex Jones.
Heck, Tate is even worse. Tate was cancelled by the Romanian government for his freedom of, I don't know, conducting business, let's just call it that.
When left-wing people do or say things that are...
Maybe the Romanian government is just left-wing, fundamentally. That's why they cancelled Nick in such a bad manner, in such poor taste.
Just as bad, just as racist, or just as violent, or whatever. It's always with them, oh, I'm sure he was joking. Hassan Piker can say, we deserve 9/11. As far as I know, he's still on Twitch. I'm not. But what is materially different from saying...
I mean, there is, unironically, a case that Hassan Piker received special treatment on Twitch, that things in the past that got other creators banned did not get Hassan Piker banned. So there is an actual legitimate case to be made that Hassan Piker gets VIP treatment by the Twitch platform. Like, the rules of Twitch have changed now, but I know creators that have covered Destiny and got a ban, but Hassan covered the same Destiny thing but did not get a ban whatsoever. So that was a little bit of a problem. Solved, of course, by the fact that Twitch did some time ago change its policy around that whole thing, but
America deserved 9/11. 3,000 souls innocent were killed. We deserve that. That's a fine statement. You're on Twitch and Twitter, and there's no censorship. What Destiny says, I think Palestinians should be genocided. Ha ha ha. He's still on YouTube. He's still on all these platforms. Nobody even thinks twice. When Nick Fuentes makes a joke, or hang on, when I say something like, oh, whatever I said, I don't want to say it again because I don't want to get banned. Oh, well, he's a horrible person. He's an avowed neo-Nazi. Look at what, they're going to reprint the quote like Ed Krasenstein did with
they just hate Nick Fuentes in particular.
The laughing or the tone. And that's BS. Like,
hey, Lucy, your voice is very calming. Thank you, Levan95. I actually hear that from a lot of people, that my voice is nice and soothing. If more and more people keep saying it, then one day I might even believe it. Also, consider joining the page and giving you some love, because I will tell you a secret. Your contribution to my channel is the way that I sustain myself, or at least try.
Let's just be honest. Everyone can recognize what's going on there.
Just a quick
question, just on that point.
Before that point, just because there was something mentioned, there's it's important sensitive thing. So, Destiny on the
freedom to say, I don't know, your love confessions to certain leaders of certain countries from the 30s and 40s.
Joke that Nick, and obviously it's a joke that many will find insensitive.
Thank you, Jordan W.
Offending, etc. On the joke of you being a more despicable person, I think he said, than Hitler. Now,
so when are they gonna actually be debating? Because so far they're not debating. This is supposed to be a debate between Andrews, Nico, and Nick, and of course Destiny here.
I think he meant it as a joke. Do you think such jokes, Destiny, you said that Nick is on your blacklist, do you think such jokes should be censored or they should be allowed? What's your position on that, Destiny?
If you're talking legally, I think you should be allowed to joke about whatever you want to joke about.
But then again, social platforms have the right to have a TOS and enforce it. There you go. Easy as pie opinion.
But again, like the problem again is like the advocates for freedom of speech are so like boring and dishonest. Like Fuentes is not banned for telling jokes. Fuentes is banned because he jokes about things he actually believes, right? The difference between like me and Fuentes is if you ask me, Destiny, do you think all the Palestinians should be genocided? I mean, if you listen to the rest of that clip, I go, man, it's like a really situation. I don't know how it's going to end. It seems like there's no way out. Like, that's my answer. If you ask Nick, do you really think that like Jews run 70% of the world and the white race is being bred out of existence by mass immigration that's facilitated?
I wonder if Nick actually believes that. Yeah, he does. So
facilitated by secret Jewish financiers who also control all of our foreign policy and make us allegiant to Israel, and they've done this for thousands of years, and that's why they're kicked out of every single. He'd be like, well,
like if I don't talk about cars on the car forum, they should just be able to ban me, right? I mean, depends. If you talk about something else, then they should be able to warn you and then ban you. But if you just lurk and read about cars, then you should be able to stay. But he didn't even know where Palestine was on a map at that time. That's true. That is true. But we all learn. We all evolve, so to speak, right? We all go through evolutionary changes.
Well, yeah, and also, 6 million cookies, right? Like, the difference is Nick isn't joking.
No, but
again, like, just own it.
Oh, God, I remember the 6 billion cookies thing. That was a
good question.
That happened.
No, but Destiny, like, do you not agree that a person can ask a question, so they can believe in a certain ideological position?
Really great type of humor to hear as a Jewish person.
And then ask a question that people would find harmful, or find it emotionally hurting. As an example, you said you're anti-Islam or you're Islamophobic, and then you make jokes about it. So you can clearly have a position and yet make jokes about it, right?
Well, yeah, no. But if you were to ask me, Destiny, why do you make jokes against Islam? I wouldn't be a pussy and say, oh, bro, I'm just joking. I would say, because I don't like Islam. I really don't. I hate the religion. Like, I would be honest about it. I'm not going to say to him, like, oh, yeah, they're just jokes.
So let me ask Nick. And this is the thing. So why is and this is the real question people are asking, like, why is Destiny able to make those comments and someone like Nick gets banned? So Nick, same question to you.
Listen to me, Estelle. I mean, I'm going to read your comment. I mean, I would have at least a cursory understanding of the region I'm going to joke about genociding. And this is your mistake. And that is your biggest mistake. Because if you had no knowledge about even cursory knowledge or understanding about of the region, then maybe you'd be just as successful as Destiny. Are you as successful as Destiny? No. See? Then he probably chose the correct path when it comes to being informed about these issues. See? The results speak for themselves.
You, your position in terms of whether you believe that certain people run the world or whatever it is, I mean, have you hid from that position?
Get used to my weird sense of humor.
Like, that's his argument.
Absolutely not. No, but here's the difference. People are not saying, oh, you believe that Jews have disproportionate influence in media. I don't think anyone would even disagree with that. I don't even think Jews would disagree with that. Also, it's an empirical question. So people, if they're interested, can go and look it up. You know, it's actually not a completely subjective question. It's actually quite objective. But that's not what people accuse me of. And that's like a very slippery way to frame it. When Destiny says they should be genocided, so of course I don't believe they should be genocided. Okay, fair enough. People watch my speech from a year ago or 2 years ago, and they say, oh, he wants to kill all people that aren't like him. In the same speech, I say, we love everyone. We love even our enemies. We need to pray for them. We need mercy and compassion towards them. We don't need cruelty. I think even in that same speech, not even about Jewish people or Israel, in that same speech, I said, when I look at homosexuals and transsexuals, I don't like all the cruelty visited upon them.
Transsexual is mentioned. I've been mentioned because in Poland, when you're trans, you still get the official diagnosis of being a transsexual. Just a little bit of a trivia about trans healthcare in Poland, in case you were curious, and I bet you were.
We need to pray for them. We need to bring them into the church, blah, blah, blah. So it's like the same speech where people say, oh, Nick said he wants to kill everyone and all of his opponents. I'm literally as Destiny said with his comments about genociding Palestinians, if you look at the full context, so it's like it's completely misrepresented. The difference is the ADL and the SPLC aren't clipping Destiny's joke and throwing it on social media every time.
Oh, yeah. Famously, nobody ever clips Destiny. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. You can say whatever you want. You can think whatever you want of Destiny, but he gets clipped all the time. You cannot say, oh, unlike me, Destiny never gets clipped out of. Yes, he does. It's been happening for years. Like, come on. Don't be a dupe. I know I have a bias because we're married and all, but he gets clipped. Come on.
He makes a post.
Now.
The difference is when an article is written about Destiny, there isn't a preamble that says Destiny, a live streamer who said Palestinians should be genocided.
Are you sure? Are you sure that does not happen? Maybe. I've never read any article about Destiny, so I don't know if that happens or not. And I don't trust Nick Fuentes, so I guess I don't know.
But they do that for me. Every unfortunate thing, joke, exaggeration, whatever you want to call it, always with the most uncharitable interpretation. That is on my Wikipedia. That is the preamble of every article written about me. And I'm not going to hide behind my real views. Okay.
Are you saying that all of that was taken out of context?
Saying that we're going to kill everybody,
everything,
or whatever? Yeah, it absolutely is taken out of context. I mean, we have to give me a specific example.
How many Jews do you think died in the Holocaust? Well, there's a specific question. How many Jews died in the Holocaust?
So Nick, just a quick question, right? When he
should have been pressed to answer that. He should have been pressed to answer that.
Explain the disparity in terms of the rules. Like basically, Destiny can attack Islam, Muslims, and he's got no problems, and you.
I'm pretty sure that Hitler advocated against petty Jewish hatred as a pragmatic thing. It was a lot more complicated than that. It had to do with how genocide perpetrators actually think about how genocide is perpetrated as a thing, how genocide perpetrators see themselves fundamentally as moral agents, how they see the genocide that they perpetrate as a moral duty towards a better world, and hence in Nazi Germany, believe it or not, killing a Jewish person for petty personal views, at least officially on paper, was punished by the person being tried for murder. And in that way, as I've said before on different occasions, Jewish people under Nazi Germany got their humanity back in death if a person sort of killed them for petty personal reasons and not for the glory of the Third Reich, etc., etc. That is actually a thing that happened, and trials like that did actually happen, believe it or not.
You have been banned. Now, the question becomes, when you know that that's the level of Sophia that we live in, that there is this disparity, do you then, like, now you made a joke, didn't you, right? And it was clearly a joke, but now that could be snipped and that could maybe be used to get you banned or whatever it may be. So does that make you become, you know, does that make you become, well, obviously it hasn't, but should it then make you become a lot more careful in even the jokes you make?
No, absolutely not. Because what I have learned, because I've been doing this for a little while now, longer than many people, what I've learned is it doesn't matter actually what you say or how carefully you say it. Keith Woods is on here. He just jumped on the space. This is a guy who, I mean, me and my followers, it's like an inside joke that
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it actually does matter what you say, but maybe it's just me. So Nick's excuse being, we love them and we see how they are treated poorly, is easily seen as the, yeah, of course. Like, it's Nick Fuentes. Nobody's getting fooled by Nick Fuentes. Come on. Calm now.
His streams are so, they don't have any rhetoric. They don't have any, there's no jokes. It's very dry. It's all philosophy. This guy is like the most controlled, disciplined, and by controlled, I mean he has self-control, not like controlled op. I mean, he's self-controlled, restrained, disciplined. And even when he got popular last year for the ban, he started the Ban the ADL campaign, hashtag, they dug up like a tweet from 2 years prior where he said something like, sarcastically, oh, I guess I'm a raging anti-Semite because blah, blah, blah. The ADL cut that, and now every time there's an article about Keith Woods, it says, self-avowed raging anti-Semite. One tweet from years ago, it said in an obviously, I mean, Keith knows the details, so he can reproduce the tweet, but it was so obviously, he wasn't saying, hey, it was obviously rhetorical, it's obviously sarcastic, so it doesn't matter. All the videos, all these dry videos about Platonism and, you know, video essays.
God, when does the debate begin? This is like, come on, why did he include all this? Is the debate itself so short that Destiny had to, like, include this crap? What's happening? Is this whole thing the Twitter thing? When's Andrew Tate gonna hop in or whatever? He's muted.
Articles about birth rates in a very measured academic way. He said one thing sarcastic one time. They dug in, found it. Some researcher reproduced it. Now he forever will be known as the self-avowed raging anti-Semite. So
the fact that Nick has to specify that he means by control, what he means by control is a problem in itself. True. What a strange guy.
So I've seen many things like that. So the question is, do you like self-censor and impose a chilling effect? And, you know, we can't be funny. We can't make jokes. We can't be rhetorical. We have to kind of go through this translator and be, as Tate said at the beginning, you neuter yourself. They want you neutered with the chilling effect from these free speech regulations. Or do you just kind of go out?
Or maybe they want you to not be horrible. If that means you're neutering yourself, then that maybe speaks more to you than to anybody else. But what do I know?
I feel like I have filled up the room with such a cacophony. Like there's just like this ambient perception of me as this like vaguely horrible person. Now I can say whatever I want. Now I can say whatever. And
that just sounds to me like he's saying I'm being perceived as horrible anyway, so I might as well go mask off fully. Like, that's, come on. What a thing to say. Oh my god. That sounded so horrible. Now I can just say whatever I want because everybody hates me already. I can just go, I can be free and go mask off.
You know, and I think people can recognize if they watch my show. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Nick, I'm going to put you on the spot and then get Destiny's thoughts. I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Sure.
And I'm pretty confident you will not get banned answering that question, but what is the most controversial belief that you currently hold? And The mic is yours. You can.
Let's just let him answer the question about how many people died in the Holocaust. Just let him answer that. That'll sort of like, okay, answer this then. What's your most controversial opinion? That's a softball question. Answer the Holocaust one.
It doesn't matter how controversial it is, because then my next question for Destiny and anyone else would be, should that belief be censored? Should the ability to speak about that belief be censored? Nick, the mic is yours.
Okay. Well, I would say the biggest taboo right now is.
My biggest controversial opinion is that eating fried food is perfectly fine, and that, I don't know, you don't always have to boil your water.
Talking about Jewish people, because I talk about race and I talk about gender and a lot of things.
Of course, he went to that immediately talking about Jewish people. Why am I even not surprised? What a shocking what a shocker, talking about Jewish people. Immediately jumping to his main topic. Yeah, because now he can just say mundane things. What a shock. Damn. And didn't see that coming. Never saw that one coming.
Biggest taboo is, as we all know, talking about Jewish people's influence. And they could be right-wing or left-wing. I think, though, it seems like...
Jesus, of course. Dude, come on.
Like the influence of Israel is maybe the biggest one, because even conservatives talk about George Soros. So I would say it's Jewish influence. And my answer for that is I think that only Christians.
Listen, if I have so much influence, then why are only 34 people watching me right now and not 10,000, 20,000, 50,000? If I have so much influence as a Jewish person, I should be getting donation after donation after donation right now as a Jewish person, because I have influence over all of you. Something's wrong.
Should be in power in America. And I don't know the details of how you'd work that out in terms of if you pass a law or there's a qualification, but...
Mr. Wynn, Lucy has a fried food, shameful. Listen, if you... And I realize how shameless I am, but it's you do what you're gonna do. If you join this page, if you follow this link, create an account, and join this page and possibly subscribe, I will consider dropping fried food forever, depending on how big the donation / subscription will be.
I think that we should have all Christian legislators and Christian presidents and Christian Supreme Court judges. So I would say that's probably my most controversial.
I'd say taboo number one. We've discussed this point in previous spaces. I want to ask you, and Keith, I'm going to go to you in a second, but give me one more, Nicholas, and then we'll go Nick, and then we'll go to Destiny afterwards. The second taboo thing, and I've got a quote here about. I'm going to read out a quote. Could be out of context. Maybe it could be the second one when you said it could be a joke as well.
Okay.
We need to go back to burning women alive more. Again, if I took it out of context, I do apologize. But can you maybe elaborate that quote? And could that be the second most taboo belief that you hold? Which I'd be surprised if you actually hold that belief.
I see your co-host thumbs down that one. I wonder, she didn't like that I said I want to burn women alive. That's obviously a joke. And if you look at the whole context of that clip, I said in a very deadpan way, I'm like, women are casting spells and they're becoming witches. In the Middle Ages, they used to throw them in the river. They used to burn them alive. I'm like, and here they are lying on.
Jesus. And Nick Fuentes wonders why he was banned. Why? How could that have happened? How did that happen?
On the stand about, I think in that case it was Johnny Depp. I'm like, they're lying about Johnny Depp casting spells. I'm like, we got to burn these women alive. Obviously, a joke.
Oh, okay. I'd put that I'd put that in an extremely bad joke, but
True. Wow. What a joke. What a jokester. What a comedian.
yes.
Can I ask Nick a question real fast?
Your reaction is what makes it funny.
I would stand as tribute for you to burn me at the stake, but you'd have to be tied to me.
Let me. So what would be?
makes it funny.
Before Ed and Keith, just 2 seconds. So Nick, what would be the second most taboo belief that you hold? And I want Destiny's thoughts on either of these, whether they should be censored. And I'll ask Ed the same question, and then Keith.
Probably my other one is that race is
Destiny is not amused by where this is going.
real. I'm a race realist. I think that there's genetic difference.
Oh my God. I wonder why. I wonder how it happened that Nick Fuentes got banned from any sort of social media with his race realism and anti-Semitism. I wonder why. What happened? What a freak accident. What injustice. Damn.
Between the races as opposed to everything being environmental. So, I mean, and those are broad categories of talking about Jewish people, talking about biological diversity, human biological diversity. That's what people would say is the dissident right. Those are like the two biggest taboo things they believe. And then so for me, I guess that those would probably be the big two.
So Destiny, these are two beliefs, and I guess.
How did that ban happen? Oh no, it must have been for his free speech. Oh my God.
You disagree with. So should Nick have the right to speak about those two topics on any social media platform?
Well, I just happen to be an open racist. For God's sake.
I'm not just sex.
I mean, personally, I think that if you're large enough of a social media platform and you're hosting political conversations, I think almost any kind of mainstreamish, like if more than 1% of people believe in it, there should probably be conversation happening about it. So I would say that everything he's brought up, yeah, you should be able to talk about on most mainstream like social media platforms, assuming political conversations happen here, right? Like if you've got like a social media website for, people talking about, their cats and dogs, then I can understand banning the speech there. But for places like Facebook or X, Twitter, like I can understand people wanting to have those conversations here, and you should be able to. But again, I would like to repeat the same thing I've said a million times. It is so boring that nobody will actually present what it is they actually believe. I don't know if it's strategy or I don't know if it's cowardice, but like
what is it?
Well, it's cowardice dictated by the fact that most people will not accept it. Most people will just not accept those views when stated openly. That is a fact. That's why people have to go mask on and etc. etc. Because those views will never be just accepted. If stated.
I think that I'm hiding. I mean,
well,
just
you just
say
said two
it straight
things
up.
that are objectively true that everybody believes in. Like Jews have a disproportionate.
So what am I hiding?
Jewish people
What am
have
I hiding? What am I hiding and not saying?
I can say it. So
I can give a reason why people would hide their beliefs on that. I can give a reason why people would hide their beliefs on that. I mean, Destiny.
Wait, if you want to hide your beliefs, that's fine. But then say that. Be like, yo, I'm not going to say what I actually believe because I'm not going to.
No, but what is?
You're muddying the waters because
I can't say it. Yeah, I'm just saying.
A lot of people don't.
Go ahead and say it.
I can't. Okay.
Go ahead right now.
Say a minute.
Jesus. Let's see, unrelated, but where could I watch How I Started World War? I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether you can watch it online.
Didn't it go that the Jewish thing was a myth and that like Jewish people don't have a disproportionate amount of power in the media?
Who would say?
Wait,
it's
an objectively
hold on.
true thing?
It's two things, okay? One, Jews obviously have a disproportionate amount, and far more than the media, probably politically.
I'm not hearing what I'm
financially.
hiding. I'm not hearing
yeah,
what
you're
I'm
hiding
hiding.
is
You
you
made
don't
that
think.
accusation 3 times.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
hearing an
Can
example.
I finish a sentence? I know you're excited.
Yeah,
to get
answer
back
the
there.
question. You're talking about other stuff.
I'm trying
Answer
to,
the
but you
question.
cut me off like every 2 seconds.
No, you're not. You're going in another direction. Name one specific example because you said it now like 5 times.
Yeah,
oh,
okay.
you're
I'm
hiding.
gonna have to
You
repeat
won't
this.
say a
I'm
real
trying to
view.
get my answer out.
Say it.
Eventually, you'll let me do it. I know you're excited.
Let's hear
okay?
say the example.
Yes. So the
That's
idea.
a classic Destiny thing to tell the opponent, the interlocutor, that they're being excited. It won't work on me because I'm always excited. So that trick will not work on me.
That Jews disproportionately represent some part of like the power structures is not the controversial nor the strong claim. That is an objectively true claim that everyone can see. The strong claim is the idea that there is a secret cabal of Jewish people that are working to undermine other races across the world that are coordinating and working through all of those structures of power. That's the controversial belief. That's the thing that you believe in and you preach. But then you come onto these platforms and you give the weak take of like, don't you think that like most of the peoples in charge are like kind of more Jewish than like they really should be? Or the same thing with like the race and IQ thing. Like everyone everybody who's reasonable to anything should acknowledge that there's going to be genetic differences, probably even genetic differences between groups of people. But that's not your claim. Your claim is black people are dumber due to genetic reasons on whole versus white people. Like, that's the strong claim. You make the weak claim that is like everybody believes in it, but then like the strong claim goes unsaid, and that's usually what people are upset about, which you can argue is good or bad, but at least like own up, like man up and own your positions. Don't like say the most milquetoast, like obviously true things ever, and leave all the controversy, you know, behind you. That's weak.
See, the difference is that when you say these things, you're rephrasing them in the liberal perception way. You say, well, if you believe in race realism, that means you believe black people are dumb. No, if you believe in human biodiversity, you believe that there are genetic differences between people. IQ is a heritable trait, and blacks have a lower average IQ.
So you are saying what Destiny's saying. Yeah. So you do believe that. You do believe that, then. You're just using more words to say it. But you do believe that. Come on.
Average
Howard.
than white people. That's also a statistical fact. That's also true in SAT scores. It's also true in IQ tests globally and in America. I've never hid from that. I said that in front of a crowd of black people at Iowa State. I said that in front of Myron. Hang on, and Myron is here. I said that in front of a panel of all black women on Fresh and Fit.
That's a fact.
Because you're just reframing what I'm saying
in a
liberal way. You're saying that if someone
different.
believes in genetic differences, then that means that you believe black people are dumb.
No,
and if you say that Jewish people influence society, you believe in a shadowy cabal where they're like evil wizards and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
so it's like, of course I'm not going to say the caricature and the reframing that you're giving it because you disagree. You just don't like that people find it persuasive. That's why you put me on a blacklist and said, I will never stream a Nick Fuentes.
Because
but then when I'm on a big space, then you got to show up to derail and disrupt and say, all the persuasive stuff, well, he's just lying. There's secret evil views that he has that, well, you just aren't hearing right now. So that's why you're going to break your...
Maybe.
You're going to break your one rule. You know, you come on the podcast, even though you quote unquote
you're obsessed with
blacklisted
comic book villains.
Because as you said, I do like that movie. Because as you said a couple of years ago, you don't like when people like me talk to a large audience. I mean, you're the one that's hiding a political agenda.
7 people DM'd me to come here, okay? So I decided to come and hang out.
That's my career was over.
Just a real quick reframing. Like,
hold on.
Yeah, he did sort of make the strong claim, or we're at it, because saying about talking about the genetic differences and that IQ is genetically inherited trait. That's making this strong claim. Yeah.
Just Ed and Keith, I want to ask you both the same question. It's like seeing that back and forth between Nick and Destiny. Is there anything in that back and forth that should have been censored? Is there anything that could have, that could be considered hate speech or could have led to violence and should not be allowed on X or any other platform?
Look, I think it should be up to the platform itself. If a platform wants to censor certain types of hate speech or certain types of incitement of violence, I think they should be able to do that.
Even despite sorry to interrupt you, Ed, but despite the amount of influence they have now compared to 10, 20 years ago.
Listen, companies, I guess social platform owners should be able to enforce their TOS.
Like if you give them that right now and they all just meet in one room, they can essentially control speech around the world.
Yeah, but I think that's their right as a corporation. I don't,
Ed,
like,
what's the platform's primary objective?
The platforms, what platform are you referring to?
All of them. Why do social media companies exist? What's their primary objective?
To make money.
To make money. And you're saying that they should be allowed to ban certain speech they don't like if that allows them to make more money, correct?
Andrew Tate!
I believe, as in capitalism, I believe that's the way it should be.
So if Pfizer came along and decided to give a bunch of money to one of these social media platforms, would they allow anti-COVID vaccine conversations and speech or vaccine injury proof on their platform, or would they censor it to make as much money as possible?
I think it's up to...
What? Vaccine injury? Oh, damn. Anti-vaxxer.
To them as a corporation to do as they please. Just like Donald Trump with Truth Social has censored liberals from his site.
That's fine. But we're talking about people getting
I think Elon Musk has the absolute right to run it the way he wants to do it.
That's fine.
And under his terms, that is, as long as.
And most of sort of people, that run advertisements have the right to leave the platform due to how he runs it. Most sponsors have the right to leave due to how he runs it. That's also a right.
Something doesn't break the law, and I guess that can be, subjective to some, like what's going on in Brazil.
So
I think that's his right. And I think, if that's the best way to run it, that his platform will probably succeed.
Cool. So vaccine, I understand what you're saying. So vaccine injuries do exist. However, the platform's objective is to make as much money as possible, and Pfizer is funding the platform. So they're going to pretend vaccine injuries do not exist. So they are purporting a false version of reality. They are creating and aiding the Matrix and making people believe a version of reality that is not true, primarily for financial profit. And those with the global centralized capital can control narratives and can control the world.
I really don't appreciate this anti-vaccine sentiment, considering that my father died of COVID soon before the vaccine was rolled out, and if he didn't get ill and he would have gotten the vaccine, there's a high probability that he would have probably been still alive. So I get actually pretty annoyed with the whole anti-vaccine rhetoric.
At a better level than most political parties. Would you agree with that?
Well, wait, Pfizer is not even worth that much money. Why would we assume Pfizer can control speech on?
It's an example.
Yeah, you keep blaming it on the advertiser or a company that's paying these companies. It's up to the media companies, up to their shareholders, what's in the best interest of those companies. That's how capitalism works in America. That's what I think most conservatives embrace. They embrace capitalism. Let the companies make up their own mind. If one business idea is failed, it's not going to work out. If people don't like that, they're going to move to another platform. And we're seeing that with a lot of people who are moving away from Facebook and onto X because they don't like this level of censorship they're getting on other platforms. So they move to X. Just like the media, that you can watch Fox News, you can watch News Nation, you can watch, there's a plethora of different media outlets that you can consume if you don't like what one media outlet's putting out there. It's not the government saying, oh, the media can't talk about the Pfizer vaccine or say that it has side effects. If that would be an infringement on the First Amendment. But in capitalistic society, these companies can run the way they want without government interference. So if the government starts interfering and saying you can't run your platform how you want, then that's going to be the government interference, and that's going to be against the First Amendment.
Oh boy.
Okay, well that's another argument because there was Twitter files and there's a whole rabbit hole. People.
Well, and the Twitter files also. I mean, the Twitter.
What a deep conversation we're having here. Intellectual discourse. Well, that's why you came here. You see all these books. They've prepared me for this.
Showed that a lot of stuff went on. People requested a lot of things to be removed, and Twitter, being a publicly run company, publicly held company, they made up their mind on what they believed was best. Let
me simplify the question. Do you believe the people? So what you're effectively saying, we agree on the fact that those with the money can control certain narratives and how they're perceived and discussed. Would you agree with that?
Those with money have more.
Every single one, but I've also forgotten all of them, so I have to read them again. Bam! No, that's an answer, isn't it? I've given you the best answer possible. I won.
They have more control, yes.
Yes, and they can control on a public forum how certain things are perceived and discussed because they have the money. And when I say advertise, what I truthfully mean is donate and lobby. That's what they do. They donate and lobby to platforms to get their point of view.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. He has a point. Please donate. Please donate. Finally, a good point. Yes, please donate. You just didn't read them. Can you prove it?
On certain platforms they can, but on certain platforms they can't. Like, let's say X, for example.
Well, absolutely, because it's free speech. So
I know what they're about. I can definitely tell you what each one is about. That's easy.
This is where we're going back into I'm only going back over this because we talked about earlier when you guys were saying the primary objective of the media is to make money. And I said
that is the primary objective. I mean, there's really no arguing that.
Okay, well, if that's their case, then they're going to take money from the large centralized power structures, and they're going to purport any false version of reality that it takes them to make as much money as possible, and people who donated the money to make as much money as possible. Objective truth has nothing to do with anything.
If that's in the best interest of the shareholders, perhaps. I'd like to think that shareholders have an ethical side of things too, and
okay. What a conversation. The ethical side of the shareholders.
If they see that happening, they're not going to be as interested in investing in that company. So, I mean, I think
Destiny is just quiet. Like all those Destiny debates are false advertisements of just Destiny just quietly sitting and listening in. I came for a Destiny debates Andrew Tate, not for Destiny listens in on a bunch of dorks. Okay?
The board of directors and the shareholders
That's not what I came for. I want to see the debate.
are going to have the ultimate say there, and I don't think most people want that.
But Ed, do you think hold on, Ed, do you think you were censored for money?
I didn't hear you.
Do you think your account, you and Brian's accounts, were banned for monetary purposes? Did they make more money by banning you guys?
No.
Do you say that contradicts the point?
Our accounts were banned because
they broke the rules, didn't
they? They thought we purchased our accounts, which we didn't.
No, sorry. What I meant was they thought you did. It wasn't because you had said.
Destiny's fed up. He's about to jump in and bring this conversation back on track. Do it, Steven. Do it for me, please.
Like an impact on society, and that's the reason they wanted to ban you, right?
They banned me. Yeah, they banned our accounts because they thought we were breaking their terms of service. But I would add that was a business decision that they thought would help the business. So
do you think Andrew? Sorry, Brian. I thought it was Ed. Brian, do you think Andrew Tate or Nick Fuentes, they were banned because the platforms wanted to make more money? Because Stripe wanted to make more money, they banned them.
Yeah, I do. I think that they saw them as somebody hampering advertising. Or hampering.
And do you think this model is flawed, where advertisers
hampering their image? I think hampering their image, which hampers their revenue, right?
Let me ask.
That's just an alibi.
Let me ask a simpler question.
Oh, Andrew is speaking now. Let's listen to the guru.
So you're saying effectively, that mainstream media will lie for money, correct?
Well, I mean, if you lie as a mainstream media outlet and you're caught in that lie, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your revenue.
What do you mean by media outlets? Like most social media outlets are just sort of containers. So they don't lie themselves per se, but they can allow or disallow certain types of speech.
That's not what I asked. I'm asking, do you if I use Pfizer because it's the example we used earlier before Destiny has a breakdown. If Pfizer come along and they are sponsoring, donating, advertising, lobbying, whatever you want to call it, X amount of hundreds of millions of dollars to your news network, and you're talking pro-vaccine,
bad Pfizer that actually saved a lot of lives.
Would the mainstream media lie for money? So yes or no?
I mean, I think that depends on the individual who's making that decision. But I mean, if I was running the mainstream media, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I think you have a reputation. If you get caught in a lie, that's going to hurt you monetarily in the long run. It's going to hurt you from a standpoint of...
That depends on what media we're talking about. If we're talking about a rag, tabloid, then they might just lie. If we're talking about a reputable newspaper, for example, then they probably won't.
That would be true unless your primary objective was to spread lies and for you to be paid to spread lies. And as long as you spread the lies, you continue to get paid because nobody buys what you sell.
Look at Fox News.
Nobody gives a shit.
Well, I don't think none of these companies have the money to solo fund like an entire social media platform. Like, I feel like the analysis stops with, if somebody pays you $100 to lie, will you do it? The answer is yes, but everybody that's a large creator on this platform knows that if you got paid $100 to lie, you wouldn't take it, because if people found out you were lying, your losses would be way more than the little bit of money you'd get paid to do the lie.
True, I guess.
Yeah, that's crazy. People pay you even though
we're talking billions.
Your marriage not exploding.
Kind of like, Nick, how you lie about every single thing you do. So, for instance, we were talking about deplatforming, and Nick is talking about the blacklist that we're on.
Damn, oh, Ukraine mentioned. Oh my God, I knew it. Sooner or later, Ukraine had to be mentioned. Honorable mention is. Wait, is Nick Fuentes also against Ukraine? How surprising! How shocking!
The only reason Nick, by the way, is blacklisted
Back to what Andrew was saying.
Guys, spam reporting people. That's the only reason I
Andrew, but
Nick Fuentes against Ukraine. Oh boy, what a shocking revelation. Then on the middle shelf, what is the seventh book from our left about? Like, I know what they're all about, but it doesn't mean that I remember the positioning of every single book on the shelf. That would be crazy.
The what you said is that I think the media will lie for money. I think you're right there, and I think Ed cannot disagree. But then
it's on history. It's about history. Okay, it's about history. The 7th book on this about history.
That going to be their downfall? Like, this is not
well, this is the
because
thing.
they eventually lose trust.
Well, this is the missing element. They will lie for money, and then we're talking about how that's going to damage their reputation, which has happened. Nobody trusts them. Nobody believes them anymore. And everyone's missing the very obvious point that it's their job to lie for money. They've always lied for money. They'll tell any narrative they're told to tell by the big money and the big finance.
Who are they? Who the hell are they? What history? History of Poland.
That's the only reason they exist is to lie for money. Why would they?
There you go.
Why?
Good questions. Who are they? Finally, someone asked it. Who the hell are they?
Like, can you name an individual? Is it the CEO of CNN? Is it, you know, who is?
It's the chief of the CIA, William Burns.
Global. It's going to change, right? The COVID-19 narrative is different than the Ukraine narrative. Perhaps they're all on the same team, but
yeah, but Ukraine narrative. I knew it. God, all the brain dead opinions go in a set. They all go in a set. Anti-vaccine, anti-Ukraine. What else? There has to be something else. It just goes. Transphobia as well, of course. It just goes in a set.
You can't beat everybody into maybe. I'm sure there's a few. I'm sure there's some people who would lie for money.
Hold on.
I'm sure there's some people who would lie for money. You're right, but to say that the mainstream media would lie for money, like everybody in the mainstream media, their goal is to lie for money, just to put money in their pockets, and they're willing to tell lies. That's ridiculous. I mean, you're judging every individual person.
It's not ridiculous. It's why they exist.
No, it is. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The mainstream media.
How about if they promote vaccine misinformation? People were all losing their jobs if they were to promote anti-vaccine content or anti-vaccine misinformation, which has direct harm to the people that are getting these injuries. Like, we're talking about a misinformation that has direct harm to humans. And we're Andrew's bringing up a point where
there are cases of sort of side effects of getting the vaccine, but those side effects are so rare, so minuscule that they don't compare to the benefits that the vaccine provides. I'm sorry. There's just no competition.
If they lie for money when Pfizer is paying them, which they did during COVID, and then they're not.
And we've been testing it for quite a while now, by the way.
Reporting on vaccine injuries, then this is a lie that has direct harm to humans. That direct.
Wait, are we saying should those be banned? Should that be made illegal? If you lie and you get paid money for it, should that be like a free speech thing where you're in trouble for that?
Well, here's the pertinent point, though. I feel like we're missing, guys. I feel like we're missing a very pertinent point. The only reason mainstream media exists at all is to lie.
It is boring. Make it interesting. Steven, Destiny, do something. Help us. Save us. If I would have been, I don't mean to brag, but if I would have been there, it would have been interesting from the start to the finish line. Believe it and donate.
I don't know why we're trying to pretend that's not the case. The reason it exists and it's pumped out free everywhere all of the time and forced on everyone's throat all of the time in every single lobby everywhere is to lie. They get their objectives that they're supposed to purport to the populace. Their job is to lie. And to sit and say, well, if they lie, they won't be trusted. Correct. Nobody trusts them. Correct. They've been lying for money all this time. That's exactly where we are. So how is this confusing for anybody?
So Andrew, when does a media outlet become the mainstream media or part of the mainstream media? At what point?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, you have state broadcasters for a lot of countries, and I'm sure that in each different country, you have their state broadcaster with their particular narrative they want to push and enforce. I'm sure the Chinese state broadcaster and the Russian state broadcaster and the British state broadcaster will look at the same series of events with a completely different spin and a completely different narrative that they'll try and push to the populace, which they think is best in their national interest, which means it comes from above. It's not organic. It's not just accidental. They put together the narratives they're told to, and they push it to the population. They're professional liars. That is their job.
Yeah, but don't you think that every media outlet wants to reach that point of being considered the mainstream media, because that means they're the biggest media in the country? So at a certain point, you become part of the mainstream. At a certain point, you become part of the mainstream media, right?
Those five.
So at that point, do you just start lying? I mean, it's a ridiculous
True.
narrative. Sure,
What's ridiculous to say that there's like a free market for media. There's 5 major conglomerates don't own most of the media.
You get into the media and start lying through your teeth. It's like a rite of passage. Before that, you're truthful, but once you get into the mainstream media, your ability to tell the truth is diminished because you got a lot of money.
Idea of like, well, they're rising and falling and they're in competition. There's like 5 major
they rise and fall.
that control most of the media. And there is some, within margin, but nobody would ever say that like some tiny publication that could be founded by an individual is going to blow up and compete with the big 5 conglomerates like News Corp, 21st Century Fox, and Disney.
And they wouldn't let it. And they wouldn't let it. Guys, let's be hyper realistic here. I said earlier about the control of people and influence over people.
Destiny's so bored. Then why did you upload this as a segment, Destiny, if you're so bored? God.
Is the only true war. Tanks and bullets are the final last resort to do that. It's much easier to use social media and narrative control and the MSM, etc., to control a populace as opposed to putting them all at gunpoint. The idea that you can just stand up and tell the truth and you're going to have a broadcasting organization inside of the UK bigger than the BBC and you're just going to talk against the government and you're just going to tell the truth and be Mr. Honest and they're going to let you get bigger than the BBC without catching a fucking bullet is asinine. Look at what's happening to people who have Twitter accounts. Not just my story, Nick's story, Alex Jones' story. There's a bunch of people with Twitter accounts who end up in a cell for having a Twitter account, let alone a broadcasting corp. To sit and believe that, who becomes the mainstream and you can just go and make a news channel and maybe you'll get in. It's one big club and you're not in it. And it's control.
So Andrew, you haven't answered my question before. So when you say they, the mainstream media, are you talking about, let's say, Chris Cuomo? When he was on CNN, are you talking like is he being fed this information that he's only
I'll
allowed?
Be honest. I'll be very honest with you. What I think of mainstream news broadcasters, I think they're idiots who are dragged from obscurity and they sit down in front of a teleprompter. And I think anybody can do their job. And Don Lemon's monumental failure has proved that perfectly because since he left CNN, nobody's given a shit. I think he has 500 views on any of his videos. He's some random idiot they plucked from obscurity, sat him down, he read the teleprompter. It's not about who reads the teleprompter, sir. It's about who decides what's on the teleprompter in the first place. That's the actual discussion we're having here. It's nothing to do with which jackass could sell his soul and sit down and read the garbage.
So many of those shows that individual, whoever has that show, they have their...
I'm turning into Destiny in real time. I'm just silent because like he should have edited all of the boring parts out. It's not my fault. It's his fault. It's the husband's fault. If you're not gonna blame anybody, blame him. Blame him.
Team, and they're not necessarily being fed everything they had to say. They're allowed to have opinions themselves.
My friend, and I call you my friend. So you don't get
I'm glad you're calling me
I'm about to call you an idiot. Because you're an idiot, sir.
Jesus.
Tucker Carlson said the exact same thing, that he had basically full.
Tucker Carlson. Well, technically, his editor August. Whose? Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. You're correct. We cannot blame. We're blaming his editor August. You're right. Damn.
Did Tucker get fired for having an opinion that went outside of the narrative of Fox News?
No, Tucker got fired because he almost cost Fox News $1 billion for lying on air. It's funny that you defend the fact that he had an original opinion. What you're actually defending is misinformation and lies, which is supposed to be something.
There we go. Now we're getting into the debate. There we go. Is Ukraine gonna get a mention? Is Ukraine gonna get any sort of like honorable mention, or what's gonna happen? What's happening?
Guys are against, I thought.
Which opinion was this? That's not what I heard. Tell me, please educate me. Destiny.
The Fox News, the Dominion lawsuit. There were texts that were leaked from him where he admitted that he was lying on air about claims that Sidney Powell had made to him, and he was tired of lying to his audience about things about the Dominion voting machines being rigged.
Well, I don't know if that's a lie at all.
You don't know anything because you don't read any media. That's why you're out here saying things like they get marching orders from everybody. You don't know how any of these media companies are structured. You don't know where the teams get their information from.
Destiny's getting warmed up. Now we're getting a debate that we've been waiting for, that we deserve, that we crave. Also, Egghead, as always, consider joining the page and give me some love. So give me some love, please. There we go. I deserve love. Everybody deserves love, but especially me.
People that work in media are the most like social media hungry people in the universe. You think that all these people in all these networks across all these countries are getting fed the same marching orders and nobody's leaked anything, nobody's complained about anything, nobody's said anything? And why do we think that mainstream media is any more insulated from these problems than alternative media is? You guys will make fun of the marching orders from mainstream media, but I bet every single alternative media guy in here is anti-vax, thinks COVID came from a bioweapons lab.
True, and every one of you is like anti-Ukraine.
Thinks that Russia has a right to invade Ukraine.
True. There you go. True. All the stupid opinions. True.
Thinks that all the charges against Donald Trump are made up. Thinks that we shouldn't be supporting Israel. Like, you guys have literally copy-pasted the same opinions.
I mean, the Israel one is debatable, but
between every single one of you, and you guys are
but most of them were spot on.
Talking like an army of NPCs about how the mainstream media gives you like fabricated opinions. Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yes, we do all think the truth. That is
crazy how truth can be a perspective there, huh? But when you all think the same thing, it's not a conspiracy, but when the mainstream media does, it is a conspiracy. Crazy how that works.
It is crazy.
I just said that different state-sponsored broadcasters would have conflicting points of view.
But they don't. Do you watch any media? Have you followed any media?
Course,
they don't typically have conflicting opinions. When you're reporting on international media, the stories are more or less the same.
And a BBC segment, they often directly conflict. Often.
No. Very rarely. On the facts, no. Maybe if you're watching a pundit or you're reading op-eds, they will. But if you have any amount of media literacy, a really great example that works against your...
Expecting media literacy from these people, that's, you're going to get disappointed. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be...
Israel stuff, by the way, was the reporting of that Al-Al-Assi hospital bombing, where everybody was saying that Israel bombed that parking lot. Every single mainstream media outlet in the world ran with that story for 2 days. I mean, how did that work if Israel controls the media? Or how does that work if they all give conflicting accounts and reports? It's because they don't. It's because everybody relies on, like, people that are reporting on the ground. It goes through their media teams. They publish what they think is right. Sometimes people fuck up. But there doesn't have to be a top-down conspiracy to explain why.
They sure did change the headlines very quickly, Destiny.
After more information came out. Yes, sir. That's how it works.
When fake news came out.
So naive. There have been so many lies, specifically about wars. It's insane that you would even bring that up. Before the 2020 election, there was a big story about how Russians were putting a bounty on the head of American soldiers in Iraq. You remember this? And they said Trump is allying with Russia, who's killing our soldiers. Then a year after, and by the way, that's after the election, they came out and said...
Oh, no, the election thing.
Yeah, that wasn't true. They came out and said, see, well, we source our intelligence on the ground. Some of it has a high degree of confidence and some of it has a low degree. And this one had no degree of confidence. But it took them a year to correct it after it had already served its purpose. Same thing with the Hunter Biden laptop. They totally put the lid on that one because they said, we were told it's Russian.
Hunter Biden cock makes an appearance. Hunter Biden cock mentioned.
Disinformation turned out to be authentic. After the election, just like the 40 beheaded babies. 40 beheaded babies! 40
babies!
And their heads are off. I can't believe it. And then they found out in December, after Israel had already invaded, after they blockaded Gaza, after everything, they said, oh, yeah, that was all fabricated. It's a complete lie. Same thing.
Isn't it convenient they got more information and then update their story? 500 IQ.
With Ukraine. I remember when we debated, they said...
Oh, no. Oh, God, Ukraine. Okay, let's listen. Let's listen in.
Russia blew up a nuclear reactor because they're trying to do another Chernobyl.
What? Nobody said that ever. Nobody said that Russia blew up a nuclear reactor because they want... Where did you get that info from? What mainstream media? What?
Turned out that was bullshit. So those are just like off the top of my head.
What news media source said that Russia blew up a nuclear reactor? Have I missed the news lately? Have I been missing the news?
5 examples about 3 different conflicts where, they reported. It serves its purpose.
It feels like I've been missing the news. It feels like I've been out of the loop. I'm worried.
And then they revise it a year later after they got what they wanted. And you, because you believe their alibi, because you don't understand the distinction between power and powerless, between government and people, you say, no, I think they got more information. They found out that the propaganda that they created for their efficient purpose, they found out that was a lie because, these are just really earnest people like you and I trying to get it right, as opposed to very interested parties in government, finance, wherever you find it. So those are just a few examples off the top of my head. You know, they learn more information, just like in Iraq,
maybe
right?
people just
They
get
learned there were
stories
no
wrong.
weapons of mass
Maybe
destruction
it's
in Iraq.
possible because it happened on the other side too. How many people were saying, "Oh, there's no way that Russia's going to invade Ukraine. That's bullshit. The U.S. intelligence must be lying because Nick."
I remember that.
Said that they lie about the intel all the time. Well, guess what? That happened. Oh, well, there are no fighters in Al-Shifa Hospital. That can't possibly be the case. Oh, whoops, we found CCTV footage that shows otherwise. Oh, no, hydroxychloroquine is a way better drug than remdesivir. Like, oh, this is going to be the ivermectin is going to save all of us. Oh, looks.
Oh, no. Oh, God. The horse medicine? Is that what it's about? The horsey medicine?
It's like none of that was true. Oh, you know, people get things wrong. Some people lie. Like, you have to be intelligent enough to call out fault. That wasn't even a syllogism, dipshit.
That's a false syllogism.
No, that wasn't even a syllogism, dipshit. Listen, people get things wrong sometimes. You have to be more intelligent. You've got to be more sophisticated when you go through media, and you have to understand sometimes people
You have to be sophisticated like Steven.
wrong. Sometimes people do lie, but why the f you trust people who in alternative media who are like teams of like 1 to 4 highly ideologically driven people versus entire media conglomerates that are being fact checked or have like, you know, dozens or sometimes hundreds of workers in some of these offices. Like the ability for you to lie about something is going to be way higher.
Involvement? How much do you know about the CIA's history of influence?
I knew it. I called it some time ago. I told you that the person behind it all is William Burns, the chief of the CIA. I told you this a while ago. It's all the CIA, as always. The CIA is responsible for everything.
Media.
I knew it. I called it. It's always that darn Burns.
What an amazing question. I don't know. How much do you know about...
I often don't hear people like you and Ed and Brian digging into the history of the national intelligence state directly influencing media.
Because history is different. Like, if you want to talk about U.S. foreign policy between like the 40s and before the, you know, the fall of the Soviet Union, that's going to be a different type of foreign policy, a different approach than our foreign policy over the past like 34 years. Also, the ability to sneak or hide different things is going to be different when everybody is carrying around a video camera and a recorder. Like, the ability to do things covertly is a lot easier back in the day when people were typewriting to each other or...
I have to go.
False flag. It's actually the Scientologist operation. I see. That makes perfect sense. We've been streaming for 6 hours 20 minutes, just so you know. It's a marathon stream.
I thought was buried. Yeah, do your thing, Andrew.
Sorry, brother. I have to go, so I just want to ask a really quick question.
Really has to go, and it's called a debate between Destiny and Andrew Tate. He has to go.
Destiny, I want to understand your worldview because you and I have a different worldview, it seems, especially on girlfriends, etc. But we won't go down that path. Do you think it would be prudent and professional for a country to allow its state broadcaster, which speaks to its populace, to report whatever it wanted and whatever it discovered without any kind of moderation or input, even if it was directly adverse to the goals and aims of the national security of said country or the military-industrial complex of that country? Do you think they would allow the state broadcaster to just report whatever it wanted fairly without anyone telling them what to say or any narratives to hold, even if it's directly counter to the interests of very powerful entities within that nation? Do you believe that we operate in a world that fair?
Yes, because confidence is a valuable thing. And if your country doesn't trust you, doesn't trust the media, if it doesn't trust the leaders, and if you've got ways to hold them accountable, like via voting, then yeah, if you fuck around with your population and people find out, you're going to be held accountable for it. Arguably, that's why Trump won his election. You know, you can say that like, oh, well, the media lies to everybody and everybody lies to everybody. That might be true. Fine. Then why the fuck should we believe anything any of you guys say, right? At that point, you're in an epistemic, nihilistic black hole of nothingness where you can't believe anybody.
The fact that you believe a country X, will have military aims, it will have agricultural aims, it will have political ambitions, it will have trade aims, whatever they are, to compete in this globalized market, and they need their population to believe a certain point of view to be as competitive as possible against the other nations, and they're just going to allow their state broadcaster to broadcast whatever they want, even if it's counter to their own narratives and interests.
I mean, that's called the freedom of the press, yes. That is actually a little thing called the freedom of the press. Yes, correct. in non-dictatorships that is known to happen. Yeah.
So ridiculously naive. That's not what happens.
It's not naive. You don't even understand how markets work. You know what naive? No, hold on.
I'm about to drive.
Naive is thinking that
little thing called the freedom of the press. Yes.
Companies with a market cap of $100 billion have more say in our government than like
the Daily Mail starts talking about war with Russia in the UK only a fucking couple months ago. Endless war with Russia, conscription, how it needs to happen. On a dime, all of the BBC, all of the British news starts talking about how important it is to go to war with Russia, because that's the aim that they had from their military industrial complex. And the broadcaster and the media arm of the government works directly with their foreign policy aims. It's all...
While once Andrew Tate leaves this, we're going to leave as well, because it's just Destiny clickbaited us. Destiny lied to us, and I'm not going to be lied to. I'm not going to be clickbaited.
Directly going together. Not a single newspaper printed, "This is dumb shit. Nobody should go to get their ass whooped by the Russians." Not a single one, because they are not allowed to.
If that's the case, then why didn't Trump shut down all negative media about him when he was president? If that's the case, why didn't Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or Barack Obama shut down all negative media about them? You guys bring up the best counterexample to you is that Hunter Biden laptop story. Why did that get censored for one day? Why wasn't that story completely
that
killed?
Wasn't heavily suppressed.
Yeah, no, wait. Why wasn't that story killed completely? That is the most talked about story. Your example of media censorship is like the most talked about story in the past 10 years of online media.
It's talked about online on social media, yes, but it was suppressed in the MSM, which is the exact point.
No, it was suppressed on Twitter. The New York Post story, the big deal about that, the big deal about Twitter was, the big deal about the New York Post story was it being suppressed on Twitter and Facebook, but it came back in like a day. So the question is if the government, if the government was able to control things so well.
Fuentes does not like this.
Why didn't they shut that story down completely?
Destiny, let me ask you a question on that. Isn't that because they censored it because there was a specific reason to do so? Because the reason you censor it is because you want the election to go in a certain way. Once the election's over,
agencies tell them to do that? Didn't the intel agencies tell them to suppress that?
No, if you actually read the Twitter files, I know how much you hate reading. If you actually read them,
experts.
No, they didn't. No, nobody told Twitter to censor the New York Post story. They literally leaked the emails where they talk about censoring the story. I don't know why you guys say the intelligence agencies told them to do it.
So all of the mainstream media all ran with "this has been debunked," and they all cited the letter that came from the National Security State, which was signed by 51 intel operatives.
They didn't say that it was debunked. They said it looked like Russian misinformation. Which, if you're honest, it did. But it did.
They started all of their articles with that statement in order to frame it in the exact same way that Nick was saying that every article about Nick is framed by the first sentence being Nicholas J. Fuentes, this.
And the censorship was social media. You could still read the website and search Google, whatever, but these people only read Twitter headlines at best.
Evil things, so that when you read the article, you're pre-framed to believe Nick Fuentes.
Imagine believing that they actually read anything, even the headlines.
Is an evil human, or
no, it's not even remotely the same. It looked like a fishy story. Any honest actor, like I'm pretty sure at this point we all know the laptop story is real, but even looking at it, it's
like
that
a
is a
story.
Yeah, obviously. I'm sorry. Hold on. The idea that Hunter Biden dropped off a laptop years ago to like a blind computer store owner, yeah, that is a sensational story. That sounds like bullshit. It still sounds like bullshit, even if it's true. But again, like the deep state has so much control sometimes, like censoring stories, but it couldn't have prevented the New York Post from publishing it. Why? It couldn't go and like take that hard drive out of Giuliani's. Giuliani had balls. Oh my God! So it only takes one journalist to shut down the entire. Also, by the way, like a quasi-mainstream media journalist. This is the New York Post. It's not like we're talking about like a small YouTube channel or something, right?
True. We're talking about a big YouTube channel.
Even the New York
published that story, and then the entire media narrative had to shift in order to discredit the story as quickly as humanly possible. And the entire national security complex mobilized and got 51 of their top experts, like ex-director of the CIA, ex-director of the NSA, the people that had architected their entire national security state, the people that had lied to us about torture, that had lied to us about WMD.
Yes, I understand. You can talk about things from 20 years ago. That's fine. But the reality is,
discredit the story as quickly as possible.
And look who broke it. The most mainstream media people in the world. Giuliani had a copy of the drive. This is a mainstream ex-mayor of New York. And then the New York Post, a mainstream media publication. Giuliani was not mainstream? How old are you?
So let me ask.
No, wait. I want to hear the answer. Wait, hold on. I want to hear this. You don't think the New York Post counts as mainstream media, and you don't think
How old are you?
Giuliani wasn't
What
a
does that have to do with anything? How old that person is, by the way?
mainstream political figure in the United States of
New
America?
York Post absolutely counts as mainstream media. What I'm saying is that a singular journalist got the scent, got the trail, and decided to write the story.
But I'm asking,
how that generally works? Yes, that is how journalism works. Yes, indeed.
Is that possible?
That is indeed how journalism works. A person gets a scoop and then writes about it. Yes, we are learning about journalism in real time.
Stop.
And that was a mainstream media publication. How would that be possible? The CIA,
not in real time. It's a VOD, but you get the idea.
CIA and the NSA and the FBI are controlling all these things.
You clearly haven't done a lot of research on how the CIA actually do influence.
Ian, your mic is really bad, but just so what you're saying, Destiny, is that the letter that was signed by... Go ahead, Keith, go ahead.
Saying is that when you actually research how the CIA influences journalists, it's not like journalists are literal robots where the CIA has a literal game controller where they actually like move their mouths. They peddle influence through payoffs or through like promotions or through just making friendships. Like, it's not as simple as just saying we literally control everything that everyone says. That's not how the world works.
No, it's not. Hold on, no, wait. It's easier to censor one story by like contacting a journalist and threatening his family than it would be to falsely get like every single intelligence agency or like 51 different officials on board with censoring a story. It doesn't make sense. It would be way easier to get the one journalist guy like to just like show up at his house and steal the drive.
Experts work for them.
Yeah, it's Burns.
Destiny,
hold on. Well, Comey works for them. The DOJ works for them. Why did they pursue the email investigation with Hillary? Why didn't they just kill that immediately? Why did Comey ever make those announcements publicly? It hurt him a lot. Why did this story with the DOJ with a special prosecutor come out with Biden being senile? That hurts him as well. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they report on themselves on that doesn't make them look good. Is it all plausible deniability?
Destiny, I have a question. I'm curious.
Okay, go, Andrew.
I'm curious. Do you believe that in China, the state broadcaster can just broadcast whatever it wants and whatever it discovers, or do you believe it has to work within an official narrative from the government?
In China, I think they probably have to work with official narratives from the government. This media probably works close with the state.
And what about in Russia?
Yes. For publications like RT, yes.
Saudi?
I don't know as much about Saudi media, but that would be my assumption. It's a total monarchy, yeah.
But in the West, not at all, 0%, right?
Well, it depends on the country.
There's many dictatorships in... Like, Hungary does not have free media. Poland tried to crack down on the free media when the Law and Justice Party was in charge.
You're talking about, like, the BBC gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. PBS gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. I think in general in the West, I don't think the media tends to operate at the behest of the state. Whereas like in monarchies or dictatorships, you tend to operate more with what the state is telling you to do. Yes.
Yep, that is, yes. It's not complicated. Dictatorships generally like to kill off freedom of the press.
Well, we could ask why you'd get state funding without state direction. That's one question. But so you're
because of legislation from Congress that authorizes state funding. I mean, it's not really a huge conspiracy.
Of course, yeah, they just give money for nothing. Yes, fine.
Money for nothing. I'm sorry. Do you think the most wealthy broadcasters work for PBS and NPR?
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I want to try.
I know you don't.
I want to try and get to the end of the point, especially because I'm driving. So do you think that would allow a country to be competitive, considering that you need to have narrative control over your populace, and that we now know, and everyone in the West accepts, that China has narrative control over its populace via the state broadcaster, as does Russia, as does Saudi Arabia, as do all these other countries, and that having a news broadcasting apparatus which told the truth, even if it's against national security interests, would not allow you to be competitive as a nation state? Do you think that we're going to allow that to happen just because...
I mean, then don't the BBC... and like Dutch public broadcasting program critique the government? Well, I mean, it's called the freedom of the press for a reason.
Is it, I don't know, we care about truth so much?
No, because the West doesn't run the world because they dominate the narrative. The West runs the world because they dominate it militarily and economically. People don't like the United States because we've got the most bought and paid for media. They like the United States because we have the strongest navy that guarantees the most free passage through water. Because when the Houthis start firing missiles at people, it's U.S. destroyers that show up and save the waterways. They like the United States because we are a massive trading partner. We have the highest GDP in the world.
I mean, the U.S. has hurt its credibility with allies, especially with the whole aid to Ukraine, but that's neither here nor there.
At this point, and we buy and sell goods like crazy. That's why people like us, not because we poison our media, but because we actually put out good results. You can't control the media. You can't media frame the way out of like horrible participation in a world economy. You just have to like actually be able to put up the numbers.
No, I don't think you understood the point I'm asking, because America as a country is in competition with other nation states, right?
No, but we don't compete on who can control the narrative. That's shit you do on Twitter and YouTube. We compete on who has the highest number of exports. We compete on who can facilitate like the largest like multilateral trade deals. We compete on who can guarantee safe passage through waterways. When people start blowing each other up, whose military is going to show up to make sure that your ships are safe. Those are the things that we compete on.
Cool, understand. So you think that America has no vested interest in controlling the narratives that its own population believes in, although the CIA spends basically unlimited money ensuring that vested interests are installed in every other nation.
CIA, I knew it, Mr. Burns.
Stay around the world.
If you
they
think
don't care about their own at all.
Yeah.
They don't care about what Americans think at all. They just care about what all the other countries think. Yeah,
if you think the CIA spends unlimited money, it's because you don't know what unlimited money looks like, and you have no idea what the scale is between like CIA spending and spending of companies like Facebook or Apple or Microsoft or Amazon. Like, if you guys at least were to come on and say things like, I think that all of our foreign policy is being ran by the people that control like Apple and Facebook, that would at least make sense. But by companies that are worth, like tens of billions or like $100 billion, no, absolutely not. And also, no, the reputational hit you would take in a democracy when you elect your leaders and people catch you lying about stuff or fabricating stories or controlling the media. No, I don't think you.
Them lying. We never called them lying.
Is this supposed to be a desert?
Nobody ever said. Hold on. Nobody ever said. Nobody ever said they never. Nobody ever said. Nobody
influence other populations, but they have no interest at all in influencing the minds of their own populace. No, they just care about trying to influence everybody else's with their democracy and all the garbage they're doing when they're pushing it. And you're saying they don't control the narrative, which is also another rabbit hole we need to go down to.
I mean, technically, your story isn't even contradictory. Even if I let you have that, because technically Americans don't really give a happens in other countries as much as their own. So you could get away with influencing other countries more than your own. Yeah, of course. But the reality is that like if you get caught doing these lies, you pay huge fucking repercussions for it. Like a lot of the country's politics
for COVID.
What have they
paid for COVID? What have they paid for the Vietnam War? What have they paid for the weapons of mass destruction
the media coverage for the Vietnam War was harmful to U.S. institutions. That's one of the reasons why we left Vietnam. If we controlled the media, we would have stayed in Vietnam until we saw it through. Media pressure was one of the reasons we left. Look at how unpopular the Iraq War became. You don't think Obama wanted to take a more active role in the Middle East? He couldn't, because the American public fucking hates everything in the Middle East after the Iraq War. What are you talking about? Yeah, American public heavily influences our capability of operating in different theaters of war. After Iraq and Afghanistan, we have no appetite for it.
Okay. Is this supposed to be about being unbanned, or is this about the number one fucking news media truster to defend the State Department's agenda? Like, I don't even know what this is about anymore.
Yeah, I want to jump in here. I mean, because I thought the purpose of this space was discussing Nick's censorship. I mean, this is like a civics lecture now from the Krasensteins and Destiny. And like, it's really interesting. People might not realize this, but yeah, Destiny has blacklisted Nick for the last few years to try and stifle his popularity.
What do you mean? Wait, why would I blacklist him?
Hold on.
Yeah, Keith, question. Yeah, question to you, Keith. Because I asked Destiny the question earlier. How did he blacklist him? What does that mean?
Why did I blacklist him?
Yeah, so Destiny refused to stream with Nick. He didn't want to help grow his pop. This space was discussing Nick's censorship. I mean, this is like a civics lecture now from the Krasensteins. Well, he's ignoring a politician self-avowed.
Been for I think probably like 6 or 7 years, and
did you direct your followers to get Nick banned?
And Nick Fuente, I haven't tried to get Nick banned in like 7 years. I had a huge conversation with him on Twitch. I was part of the hosting of that conversation. I didn't try to get him banned.
Your followers to mass report Nick
like 8 years ago. Yeah, my values have changed since then.
It keeps changing.
I'm not. No, I haven't changed it. I literally hosted a huge debate with Nick. But the reason why Nick is blacklisted.
Literally, Nick is my best buddy.
The reason why I blacklisted Nick is because as of a year ago, Nick and his group of people spam report people. You can go and watch it on the Ralph Retort. You can go and watch it on shows he's on. And he says, well, if people spam report me, I'm going to spam report them, which is ironically why I spam reported conservatives in the 2016-2017 period, because you guys spam reported everybody else too. Even large conservative figures would try to cancel other people. James Wood, the Guardians of the Galaxy dude, got canceled by fucking what? Cernovich digging up 10-year-old tweets, and Nick Fuentes plays the exact same game. Nick, do you acknowledge that as recently as a year ago, that you had your audience run around and spam report people on YouTube, that you were fighting with Mr. Medicare and other people, and you would encourage people to spam report people, or are you going to deny that or not even answer it?
Really? Did you do that to Keffels and to Hassan last year?
Why are you pivoting? Wait, do you want to answer that question?
Well, answer.
No, I asked you a question. Nick, you're the freedom of the speech guy. Nick, answer the question.
Keffels and Hassan?
Nick, Oh, he won't answer the
Did you
question.
do it
So
to
this is what I mean when I say
Hassan?
they won't own their positions. They're too
Did you do
cowardly
it
to
to
own their
Keffels and
positions.
Hassan?
He's not going to answer it. And anyway,
Did
so
you
just to
do
be
it
clear,
Keffels and
that's
Hassan?
why he's
Wait,
on my
Mario,
blacklist.
make
The
him
reason
answer, make
why
him
he's
answer.
on my
Make
blacklist
him
is
answer.
because
So would you?
he's
But would you?
stand before
But
people.
I wouldn't call this. I wouldn't call this censorship. But Destiny, why it hasn't seemed to have worked? Like if you look at Nick's following now, despite all the censorship, did it help him in your opinion?
It's not
Or did
about it.
start
It
to
helps
make-
him. I just don't like to I don't like to signal boost people that engage in like mass reporting. And Nick's community does that like
engage in mass
crazy.
reporting against Keffels and Hassan.
Notice how he doesn't
That's
answer the
crazy.
question?
So
It's because
just
he keeps
shut up,
dodging.
Why did you want to flag down Porcelain? What did
Because
he
the
do?
guy's annoying. Because the guy's annoying, and his content should be
Oh, so
honestly.
it's annoying.
His
now,
content
too.
sucks, so it shouldn't be online anymore. And I get to say that. Okay?
Oh my
And I
God,
get to choose.
Mr. Canceller is here. Gosh.
Content. He calls himself a documentarian. Give me a
Who?
break. He's not a
me a break.
documentarian.
Are you telling me the irony,
He's
bro?
Like a librarian, but documentarian.
Glorified
Detect
YouTuber.
sarcasm? Oh, really?
He's not being sarcastic. The guy thinks he's a
Oh, okay.
documentarian. And I
forgot
think
you're
that's hilarious because it's stupid. But no, his content sucks. And so his content should I think we should flag you because your content sucks too.
Sure.
Honestly.
You sure you're not going after, Porcelain because he did a Baked Alaska documentary and
No.
your ass hurt your friend got made fun of?
When was that, Jim? Was that like
I mean,
years
let's
ago?
see. You got angry. You got angry because Ethan Ralph got fucked with. You got angry because Baked Alaska got fucked with. It sounds like you're just a little bitch running around protecting your friends.
Not really. I just hate his content. I hate his content and I think it shouldn't be online anymore. And
You're talking about Destiny, or who is he talking about?
You're the little bitch that's crying about it. I mean, you keep saying like you're so mad. I said like, oh, you got DMCA'd. I don't know. Seems kind of funny. I report like when like people are shitting on me. I report their streams. I report everything they have to try and get them
Is
banned.
that Medicare? I mean, this is old footage. This is like archival material or something.
You're just
Yeah,
a liar. Everyone, people can post the clips. Destiny
That's
had
crazy.
Keffels and Hassan mass reported last year. He had a tenuous explanation. Me and Destiny collaborated.
Every time Nick
2
yaps
times.
like this without
Can I-
answering my
can I
question, it's
talk, or
because
is
he
this guy just
knows
gonna
he doesn't
hold
have an
the floor
answer to
for
the
entire
question.
time?
So
And
let
Nick
me
is
go,
the one
yeah,
on
Destiny,
here
Destiny,
talking
what are
about
we
freedom of
doing?
speech. Make him answer the question. Make him answer the question.
I'm just wondering.
I'll leave it with him. So
Answer the question, Nick. Answer the question. Answer the question.
I think both of you haven't answered the question. But Nick, I'll give you the mic again, you and Keith, because I know Keith was waiting for a long time. Either Keith go on or we'll go to Nick.
Yeah, let me jump in here. So
Let him ramble,
So-
he means, without answering the
No,
question.
See, and now another interruption.
You have to,
See, the thing is-
let me. Oh, good. So Destiny, let's just take a breather, please. Go ahead, Nick. Thanks, Destiny.
Thank you. So the thing is, I mean, I think the big point is I'm banned for 7 years from some platforms, banned from Twitter for 3. I get platformed on here. Mario, you, before you even put out the tweet, say, well, just on the record, I don't agree with most of what he says. We have to bring in 4 left-wing Zionist
Oh,
Jews.
the classic playing the thing while debate is happening. We're breaking out the classic memes.
On the space, and that's not good enough. Then we got to bring in Destiny, who for years has been saying, for whatever stupid reason he can say, well, I'm not going to stream with him, but he is going to show up on this one when it's a big platform. And that just goes to show the disadvantage that people like myself have. You know, Destiny is on YouTube, he's on Reddit, he's on Discord, he's on Twitter. Despite saying equally awful things, jokes or not, he's engaged in mass reporting like anybody has, whether it's a year ago or 7 years ago. But a person like me, I've been banned from everything. I've been lied about by everyone.
I've been persecuted. I've been chased out. I've been
Everybody lied about by
I've been so bad-mouthed. Life is so unfair.
the ADL, SPLC. They've never written anything about Destiny. There's no pressure to get him banned from anything. I get restored. It's not 48 hours. I get invited onto a space where everybody practically has to sign a pledge that says, I'm not with this guy. And we got to bring in 4 other people who do most of the talking from the left to defend the State Department and the regime.
You had Andrew Tate
And now I'm going to be
Alex
interrupted
Jones
here.
in
Now
your-
I'm
I've
going
been
to
hiding from the woke mob for 12 years. True. We've all been hiding. We've all been living in hiding from the woke mobs. True. The biggest victim in the world, as it turns out, is Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, Brian, I'll give you. I'll let you respond right after, Nick. So I think Brian's point was, Nick, that you had a lot of. You had Alex Jones, you had Andrew Tate, you have Sneeko, you had others that were supporting your stance. So I think we tried our best to keep it balanced, but I do have to agree with you. Like, I'll be honest, I faced the most pressure bringing you on stage, more than anyone else except probably Prime Minister.
Oh, Tate is gone.
And Mario, do you
Pakistan
hear
and Bolsonaro.
a very clear double standard earlier when you introduced Destiny? He openly says that he hates Islam and he's Islamophobic, and nobody pushes back. There's not going to be any articles. Nobody's going to write a bill to go and say anything about Islamophobia.
Sneeko now is talking. Damn.
But then Nick says his points that he believes that race is real and he thinks that America's a Christian country. And then somehow that's the most banned position. That's the one that's going to get articles written about it. When Myron comes on stream and he makes jokes.
I'm done. I'm bored. So I'm going to go to sleep now. Okay, I'm going to go to sleep now. Thank you all for enduring this with me. Thank you all for all the love. Thank you all for being here with me for God knows how long. I'm going to see you tomorrow, I guess. I'm going to see you tomorrow. It's going to be great. We've been streaming for